everyone. We're back for another episode of the Cup of Joe show. Almost at 40. I think this is 39. But we're almost at 40. Believe it or not. We've almost been going a whole year here, I guess, because we do it every week. And so I guess once we get to 52 or whatever.
We'd have to do something special.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm Joe, and that's Jeremy. This is how we do it, baby. It's a song.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard it.
I believe you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, good. So, we saw a movie. We actually saw a couple movies to, we saw a movie so we could see the other movie that came out. And that's How to Train Your Dragon 2. We saw in theaters. And go ahead, Jeremy. Let her rip. What are your thoughts?
Okay. This is a good franchise. They're very well done films. They're very heartwarming. They have things to appeal to both kids and adults. There's some, I suppose, I don't want to say immature humor, but things that'll make the kids laugh. Whereas there are also, some adult themes to get the older children and adults such as myself and Joe. That quote was for me, not for you. Okay. Interested in the film and all that. Got a very good cast all around. Is it Baruchel? However you say it. He's good in the lead role. Gerard Butler is good in the second one. Cate Blanchett was good. So that's always good stuff. And they're just well done films. You really feel the bond between Hiccup and his dragon Toothless in both movies, and it tugs at the heartstrings. Yeah,
it really does. And I want to talk about why it's not making. I mean, it's making money, but it's not really blowing up like I thought it might. But again, when you get box office predictions from me, they're usually wrong. So, but it is a very good franchise. The first one is very good, and the second one builds off the first one, which is exactly what a sequel should do. It should not be worse. It should build. Although I'm not prepared to say that it was better, I think that it was at the very least just as good, and it added much more emotion to the second film than the first one. They made Toothless more adorable. They did. They tugged at the heartstrings. It's very true. I cried. It was the thing. I guess I would say against it is, which it's really not a bad thing, but maybe it's a bad thing for kids. Is it got really dark. This film was darker than the first one.
Yeah.
The villain Drago, or is it Drago or Drogo?
I think it's Drago.
Okay, so Drago.
Drago Bloodfist.
Yeah, exactly. It was really dark, and I didn't see. There was really one part in it that just kind of. It came and it absolutely shocked me that they would go there in a kids movie. So I mean, and maybe we could talk about it in a minute but just the general impressions. I mean, it was very good. I personally think that once you get past Jay Brussels sprouts,
that's his last
we know. I was counting on you knowing his name, considering
I'm pretty sure it's Baruchel.
Okay, Baruchel. We'll go with Baruchel. He's very good, and the relationship between him and Toothless is undoubtedly the best part of the film for me. Gerard Butler is very good, although the line where they said, why are you being so stoic? We get it. His name is Stoic. You don't have to point it out. and Kate Blanchett was really good. And but to be perfectly honest with you, I think that the side children characters, voiced by Jonah Hill and McLovin, I will never know his actual name.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Okay, I
Or
was
maybe pronounced slightly differently, but something like
so
that.
much easier to just say McLovin. America Ferrera, all those people, they are, to me, they add nothing to the film at all. They're not funny. It's just whenever it goes to them, it's just boring. There's the one part where they are funny, but like as a whole, it just doesn't work. I did like the addition of Jon Snow to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. Kit Harington voices one of the bad turned good guys. And I thought he added to the film. I thought he did a really nice job, actually. And I'm always excited to see when Jon Snow is part of a film, except when it's Pompeii. But I mean, other than that, in general, yes, it's a very good movie. To me personally, and I think my theory about why it's not really thriving at the box office is that I just feel that it might be too dark.
Mm-hmm.
It might be too dark when you have other films that compare to it, like Despicable Me 2, Frozen, these films that are just like, they definitely have child themes. And How to Train Your Dragon it is a kids movie. But it's, I mean, when you get
it's a family movie.
It is it's a family movie, and it's just that there are just parts in it, and I think there are just themes in it that are too dark, and that's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but when this is a spoiler, look, when Drago forces the Alpha to force Toothless to try to kill Jay Baruchel, but then Stoic gets in the way, and Toothless actually kills Stoic. It's terrible, and it's really dark. I'm gonna start crying talking about it again. And then there was Airbud. Took me back to Airbud is when I really started crying. Is when Hiccup starts shooing Toothless. He's like, go away. It wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything. But it definitely tugs at the heartstrings. But I just think it's a little too dark. And I think that's why it's not gonna reach the plateau of these, the Despicable Me 2 and Frozen from a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's, it's a little too dark and mature for kids, and yet not quite mature enough for adults.
Exactly.
So it's just at this, weird, between stage where it just can't, find that exact audience that it's looking for. And, sometimes things like this just happen. Sometimes, movies have pretty much everything going for them, not that much competition, a good release date, a well-liked predecessor, and they just don't do well. It happened with Star Trek Into Darkness.
Right.
Great movie, had pretty much everything going for it. I mean, last May wasn't that packed. It certainly wasn't as packed as May 2014, and it just disappointed. It just happened. Right. So I don't know. It's just sometimes it's just the nature of the beast.
Right. So there you go. Overall, good movie. I think the dragons flying and just everything about that animation is absolutely incredible about the film. To be honest with you, I'll just throw that in there at the end.
Yeah.
And once again, Hiccup and Toothless, the bond is really the reason to go see that film because it's really incredible. Jay Baruchel does a very nice job.
Yeah.
So, moving on, since we have talked about 10 minutes on that, mainly because it's my fault, but that's okay. We're going to go to the box office now, to Jeremy Evans, who now has his phone in hand.
I do. Okay. The number 5 spot last week, I went to Maleficent. That was down 30%, 12.9 million, 185.9 million total. Let's move on. Jersey Boys. Jersey Boys made 13.3 million. That's pretty much in line with expectations, actually. I guess it's also roughly in line with some other recent Clint Eastwood things. That's in the same ballpark as Trouble with the Curve.
Oh man, that was good.
No, it wasn't. That was bad. Okay. So, 40 million budget, I guess, for like a adaptation of a play and everything, and I don't really think the subject matter is terribly interesting anyway, so that's not bad. Our number 3 spot went to How to Train Your Dragon 2. That made 24.7 million. It fell a rather disconcerting 50% and has a total of 94.6 million. Again, I don't understand. It had good critical reviews. People liked it. Audiences liked it. And yet it's just... I mean, that's a bad drop for a family movie. So... I don't get it. With that, it's not even gonna approach the total gross of the first How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, it's looking at like a total, like 150, 160 best case scenario, and unfortunately, I would say this franchise dies with this film. Don't cry.
I don't know, man. You're really tugging at the heartstrings there.
I like that expression.
Theme of the show, tugging at the heartstrings. That's it.
Okay. Alright, our number 2 movie was 22 Jump Street. That fell 52% to 27.5, total of about 110 million. For being a sequel and for opening as high as it did, that's an understandable drop. Also facing direct comedy competition from our number 1 film, which we will get to. So all those things considered, I think it's pretty understandable. It still shouldn't have much trouble outgrossing the first 21 or its predecessor. Like 170-ish might be reasonable, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Our number 1 picture was Think Like a Man 2, and that opened to 29.2 million. That's down a few million from the opening of the first one. Maybe a sign that Kevin Hart is reaching his oversaturation point, and people are getting a bit tired of him because tend to see sequels opening higher. So, I mean, that's still good. It still didn't have a very high budget at all, so it'll still be really profitable. But yeah.
I mean, that's got to be it because, I can't think of a time where there's ever been an actor more in your face than Kevin Hart. Honestly.
Yeah.
He's literally in, a movie a month.
Yeah.
And that's absurd. At least that's what it feels like. And even if that's an exaggeration, it's not that much of an exaggeration. He's been in 3 movies this year so far. That I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And it's June. So, but anyway, yeah, everything else there, disappointing Dragon 2 and Jersey Boys, it's not for us. So, I think that's not a bad total for a limited target audience, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that this week will be more interesting at the box office. We'll see. Our bet that Transformers: Age of Extinction will make more than Mockingjay Part 1 domestically. Did I say that?
Yes.
I must have said, did I say domestically twice? Domestically.
No, you said it once.
Okay, good. All right. So,
I
don't know if I said it to lead off the sentence.
I don't remember either.
All right, we'll play it back. Anyway, yeah, that's our bet. We haven't figured out what's going to happen yet, but go see Transformers. All right, for me. But there's definitely enough viewers to this show that could make a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah,
just as long as they bought $500,000 tickets.
Exactly. That's all. That's all I'm asking. So, Let's hop into it. Transformers: Age of Extinction is the big movie that came out this weekend. It's a Saturday show, so we don't really have the Friday estimates yet, or do we?
Friday estimates usually come out around noon, and it's like 10:30-ish right now. So, I mean, sometimes you get like really early estimates based on like, Friday matinee shows. Based on those, it looks like Age of Extinction is trending toward like a 35 to 40 million opening day.
Right, okay. All right. Yeah, it's I saw that it made, I think, 8.4 million a Thursday night, which puts it kind of on par with pretty much all the big movies that have come out.
Yeah, so
not very telling.
Like the other 4 movies we've had debut in like the low to mid 90s, Age of Extinction now looks like it's going to join that club. So we just can't break 100 this year.
No,
this year
seriously.
is awful for the box office. Like, we will probably get through the summer without a single movie making more than, 260 million. That's not good.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if Transformers isn't going to do it, then I don't know what is.
Unless Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is like amazing. Right. That's like the only hope left.
Right. So, coming in. Honestly, when I saw this trailer for Transformers, and I knew they were making another one. I was hoping that once you got Mark Wahlberg in there, the movie would sort of change a bit to add some audiences. It's clear that hasn't happened at all. I haven't seen the movie, but it's still really long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes now. It got longer. Like it got longer. The reviews, I think, is the worst ever, at 17%. It just looks like nothing has changed. They didn't do anything, which is like okay, I guess, because the last movie made like $1.2 billion worldwide. So like, why change it? But I mean, all right, I was expecting a little more quality out of this one. Why, I don't know. But I mean, honestly, like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna love it. I know that, but I just don't know how much longer we could take these Transformers movies that are completely awful.
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting this one to be a little better too. I thought the addition of Mark Wahlberg and Michael Bay himself coming out and saying that he wanted to make this one less silly. Those are his words. I thought that it might be a little better. If this movie had gotten like a 35 to 40% at Rotten Tomatoes, I'd be like, oh, right, like, let's do this. But that its reviews are even worse than Revenge of the Fallen, which is the only one of the trilogy I have like a hard time actually like sitting through and watching. It's not good. That actually makes me like a little wary. But then I look at the reviews and it's like, if you enjoy, explosions and stupid humor and robots fighting, you'll like this movie. So I'm like, these are bad things? Like, all these critics, criticizing all these things that are the things that are going to put people in the seats in the theater. So I still want to see it. But if it's actually worse than Revenge of the Fallen, then if they make a 5th one, I might not see it. Yeah, that would be awful if it was actually worse than Revenge of the Fallen.
It's true. I honestly just can't see that. I think that maybe it's just going to be Transformers fatigue, and that's why people won't go see it. I think that critics have Transformers fatigue because they're like, oh crap, we have to review another one of these films, and it's longer, and I think they're just mad. So like, until like I see it. I just can't say. I mean, I really enjoy Revenge of the Fall. I know it's a terrible, terrible, terrible film, like you just said, but it's enjoyable. I'm sorry, I can't help it. All those movies are enjoyable, and the first one is obviously the best. But they're enjoyable, and they're not made for us. They're made for overseas markets because that's what they love, and it keeps the gross keeps growing and growing because of that. And we're out of time, but go see that movie so I can win the bet.